experiences alone, we have a place for you to put them, and we can explain them all. And so maybe the fact is, you might want to join us instead of this other way where you're just laughed at for these elements of your life that you have to either, one, keep quietly or be disciplined in some way for bringing them out into the open. It's so you can see how this is one of these sidelines, because it's like this secret crisis that no one wants to talk about, that don't understand that they share it. It's something, you know, akin, though less materially so, that we can think about consciousness-raising groups among women in the early 60s. And it's like, you hate housework too? I fucking hate housework. You know, this discovery in the conscious group that they aren't crazy, that what they were thinking wasn't loopy, that this experience that they were having of a dislike with their relationship to the materiality that surrounded them, that it wasn't what they wanted, and they thought everybody else did, and that they were doing it perfect, and they were weirdos for not liking it. We're kind of in that same kind of position now with our metaphysical relationships, if such a things exist. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe we need to just leave them as a mystery and move on from there. But the fascists don't do that. They say, come, you know, we'll have a place for those, and we'll tell you how each of these things can be solved. So first, you know, the religious answer is, yes, metaphysical experiences are real. Now, it's hard for us to know what's real and what's detailed and what's not, because it's hard for us to share most of them, other than the marginalized ones. And marginalized outer experience is hard to share in, because you can't call it up at will. It's not something you can take to the lab and say, look, I'm having this problem. Can you look at this and tell me what it is? So no, it doesn't. But they will legitimize something that they can't get legitimized in other places of authority. So the environmental answer, they've got an answer for that one. God's going to fix it, right? The environment is not your problem. This is God's universe, and God will take care of it, right? These metaphysical forces that are floating around out there, they have names for them all. They've got them hierarchized. They have a very detailed idea of what it all is. And this becomes appealing for those who are desperate enough. So they can go there for that. The economic answer is generally populism, which of course they don't ever deliver. And if you look at the Christian nationalist idea of economic hierarchy, it's about as far from populism as you would ever want to go. But again, it sells at kind of first glance. You know, it gets away with that. And then last is the political problem of the desperation is, how is someone going to help me? Well, if we have a nice strong man, if we have these really healthy hierarchies that everyone understands, if everyone knows where all the lines are, we can solve that problem for you. Now again, this is of course a giant fib, because we know wherever these hard lines, they're moving away from that as possible. And in the US, you know, I can even say I'm one of the early experimenters where they went from having quite bright lines of, when you cross this line, you've broken the law, you know, now you know when you're going to get into trouble, to something like mine, where they said, we can really do this in an arbitrary kind of way. We don't have to have any lines or any exactitude or anything like that. And in fact, we found that people will find it scarier and will get in the line quicker if we make it all arbitrary. If we make the legal system seem as arbitrary as possible, you don't know when you're going to get picked out of the crowd. And in fact, it's great if we take an innocent person now and again and throw them into the grinder, just so everybody knows you're all part of the sacrificial pool. So these are all in, right? Christian nationalists solve them. People want to come to that. It relieves their stress. Right? It gives people a place to put what's not accepted. And they do need a place, is what we're discovering. And we, you know, and I say this kind of mea culpa too, because I mean, for almost my entire career, for sure, I can speak personally, I was always on the side of, no, we need to have material answers to material problems. But we've reached a point now where I've become a little skeptical of that. And that doesn't mean I have any metaphysical answers, because God, I mean, you know, just think about your own inner experience. It's the messiest place on earth, right? It is not the place where you're going to get smooth and easy answers. It's there telling you something, but good Lord helping you figure out what exactly that it means. So that is always there and waiting. And on the other side, as I've talked about, when we talk about the unreal from the secular end,